When a football player walks onto a paddock like this, he knows he's in for a hell of a battle for the next 80 minutes. But there are paddocks right across Australia where sadly an even greater battle is being played out, and it's a battle, unfortunately, which appears to be never-ending. "1895 was the year that became known as the Great Divide, the year rugby league split from the Rugby Football Union and two great games were created. So now, 100 years on, these two great codes have come together in the spirit of mateship to raise money for Farmhand, a foundation designed to assist those people who are suffering from drought. So let me introduce to you some of the modern legends of both these games who are going to reveal to you some of their best kept rugby secrets and at the same time raise some money for a wonderful cause.
Inside ball. It opens up for Phil Wall. Wall gets it over the line.
Oh, Preston gets it away. Matthew John breaks in.
Preston on it.
Oh, got the shot.
He goes. Reverse count. He has been working and waiting for.
Barrett dreams into open space. Fittler puts the grave.
99 Rugby World Cup. Australia the winners. 35.
Hi, I'm Nathan Gray, centre for the New South Wales Waratahs.
I'm Matthew Johns and I taught Andrew Johns everything he knows.
And I'm Phil Wall, flanker for the Waratahs. No matter which side of the footy fence you sit on, to make it to the top takes something special.
Which got us all thinking, what really makes a great football player great?
So we got some mates together and they're going to show us the secret to their footy success.
The specialised skills which made them the greats of their game.
Darren Smith. Hegarty. Great wings in. Winger scored. Under the black dot.
So Craig, there'd be plenty of young guys out there playing rugby union and rugby league, maybe Saturday and Sunday. What tips can you give them, or your secrets of how you did it when you were younger?
I think it was about, just first and foremost, really enjoying playing both games, not sort of favouring one over the other. I really enjoyed rugby union, and it was like playing a totally different sport for me when I'd go and play rugby league.
What's your secret to being such a great dummy half?
I think the trick is to be a good attacking dummy half is to be ready to go pretty much on any tackle, whether you're in your own half or in the opposition's half. Each time you get to the ball, just try and quickly sum up the situation, whether it might be a chance for you to go for yourself or if you're just going to keep passing it along. When you do want to go really hard and get out of there as quick as you can.
10 metres out for the line.
Mate, you seem to really, when you do take those starting runs from dummy half, make some really good yards. Do you try and pick out particularly bad defenders or certain guys to try and have a go at?
Being at dummy half, you get to pretty much watch everyone that's making all the tackles, so if you see a guy making 2 or 3 tackles in a row, then you tend to go at him because he's going to be very slow moving laterally.
So that'd be a tip for young kids, like trying to, if they're thinking of doing that, try and find someone who's a bit slow.
If you're a little bloke, run at the big slow blokes.
Nice.
And if you're a big bloke, run at the heels.
That's it.
First and second receiver, you seem to slot in there a fair bit, interchange with Brad Fittler.
I suppose first receiver is more about getting the team around the field to a certain point that you want to attack from, and the second receiver is more about working with the backs and working a little bit wider.
So your secrets to being a good first receiver would be just to direct play,
Yeah,
and then
just to know in advance where you want to go and know which players you want to get you there, and I suppose organise your forwards, tell them which ones, which rucks they should be taking up, and make sure that your dummy half always knows where you're going as well, and knows when you want the ball, and the whole team knows when you want the ball.
Footy secrets.
Craig, you play a lot in dummy half. What are your secrets to being so good in that position?
I think, especially if you're going to run yourself, the trick is to get away from where the ball's being played as quick as you can. If you're going to be using your forwards to your advantage as well, you'd want to be getting out of dummy half and going at the A defender and having your forward run on the outside of the A defender's shoulder and I'm running at his inside. So basically you just want to try and find one player and make him feel as uncomfortable as you can by having two people running at him.
Yep, excellent.
If you don't mind, it's Cleary out of dummy half.
Cleary to the 20-metre line. Not held, allowed to get up and go again. Flannery's made the tackle. There's one of the Roosters down injured.
Talk us through being knocked out in the grand final and what you remember of it.
I honestly don't remember any of the game. I remember the warm-up, can't remember any of the game, don't remember scoring a try or anything. And
no, you
I just... All I remember is at the end of the game, I was sitting there and everyone just jumped up and I was sitting on the bench because they took me off for the last 10 minutes. And they said, we won, and I said, oh, well, I remember running around for 5 minutes trying to find some smelling salts because I said, I really want to remember this moment. And at the moment, I can't remember anything, so...
It might come back to you one day, eh?
So I remember the lap of honour and everything afterwards, but I just can't remember the game, which is quite a shame.
Hopefully you'll get another opportunity.
Hopefully.
Footy secrets. Whittaker. Got a big back line, but he's decided to have a run. McRae, oh, he stepped brilliantly. Can they catch him? Great cover defence, but they haven't held him, and he's over for the try.
What's the difference in attacking from set piece as opposed to attacking from phase play?
Set pieces, Phil, is sort of we try and, try to attack a certain area, where in phase play it's sort of more off the cuff and there's different plays where you're not set with 5'8", inside centre, outside centre. There's always a different variety of players there. So something that I enjoy more is the phase play, and the more phases you build, obviously, the more continuity you build and the better you go.
And the ability that you've got, which you've used extremely well, is your ability to go down the short side and the vision that you've got there. How do you weigh up which way to go, which way to take the attack?
Yeah, it's hard to say how I weigh it up. It's probably a thing that, you've got other players on the other side of the ruck, so you can sort of float between. But it's more sort of reading the numbers and sort of picking out other guys in the team to run at, whether it be tight forwards or bigger type guys that you can attack around.
Having played for the Canterbury Bulldogs and the South Sydney Rabbitohs and come over and played for the Waratahs, mate, do you think the defensive line in both codes is really strong and it's getting harder and harder to try and crack through that?
There's no doubt that rugby union has really lifted intensity in defence. It was a bit different at Canterbury because we played a different type of defence that no one else does, of sort of up and in your face, trying to cut off the ball, where in union it's more drift and trying to make sure everyone's got everyone. So, but I really think the defensive patterns are really coming together in both codes, and it is so hard to score tries these days.
McRae! Oh, how's he got through there? He's got there. Great step.
Memorable rugby moment, being a part of the World Cup in '99.
Scoring a try in this year's Brumbies game?
2002 Premiership.
First test for Australia, captaining Australia and World Cup wins, and any time you beat New Zealand.
Winning the State of Origin series last year with Queensland.
Debut for the Broncos.
Plenty of memorable ones, probably the '99 World Cup.
Playing my first game for Australia.
'97 grand final with Newcastle.
Definitely my test debut at Twickenham in England.
Probably playing my first test, winning the World Cup final, '99.
Positive start for him.
Heckenberg. Oh, got the shoulder of Webke. Leaves a nice mark on the young front rower.
Well, Shane, the majority of your tackling's head-on tackling. What's the secret to putting on a big hit when someone's running directly at you?
I think, as with most sports, like defence is the hardest part of rugby league. It's a bit that requires the hardest work and the more commitment, and that's what I'm sort of alluding to with front-on tackling. The idea is just to be as heavily committed as you can and just go flat out. I mean, technique's important in so much as a component of any good tackle is just to be 100% committed and get in there just as hard as you can.
And ideally, are you trying to wrap up the ball, put them on their back when they're on the ground, or are you just trying to run into them, hit them as hard as you can and win the contest?
Well, I think Yeah, I think it's about winning the contest the best you can, and to do that, as I said, is just 100% commitment. And you know, like, to be thinking about going to tackle, so we've got some big forward bearing down on you. The last thing you think about, well, am I going to put him on his back, or will I, you know, the idea is just to smack him just as hard as you can, and hopefully he's on the ground before you are.
The game changes all the time. You know, a lot of teams like the slide defence, other teams like the rushing up and in. Where the Broncos, what do you guys like to settle on?
We're pretty much sliding defence, although I think the game's probably changing a bit at the moment, and we may change with it, but we rely generally on a sliding defence, which means the first couple of steps forward, when the ball goes past you, we all sort of slide in the same motion to follow the ball and keep the gaps on the inside the same. So
for the big blokes out there, like I suppose the young blokes growing up, bigger size guys, trying to tackle blokes like Matty, what tips can you give them on footwork or getting in there and tackling them?
Less meat pies. Get a little bit smaller, because that's about the only thing that's going to help you. I think it's more of a case, don't try and overread them. Don't try and suggest in your own mind that he's going to go a certain way. Be ready for anything, and that'll give you your best shot.
Now, you play with two of the halfbacks who'll go down, you know, some of the greats of all time, with Andrew Johnson and Alan Langer. How do you compare them both?
Very different types of players, very similar sort of blokes who both enjoy a good time and a beer and a bet and everything. So football-wise, though, Alpha's, you know, he's been a master of his game for so long, and we've all seen the successful comeback he made again last year, this season just gone, sorry. I think, whereas Andrew's sort of, he's a real innovative sort of player who's changed the way we see a lot of things, like with his kicking and just his, I mean, he's a wholehearted defender as well. Alf is probably more of the attacking type halfback, but certainly been a great privilege for me to have played with them both in my career.
Finally, tips to young guys on defence.
First, I mean, in terms of technique, their coaches are going to teach them that. Listen to that. But secondly, just realise that defence isn't always the funnest part of rugby league. It's the bit that's the hardest work. Just be committed to it, because if you're not good at defence, you can't be good at attack. I always put the same boot on first, that being my left.
My grandmother, non-Italian grandmother, she instilled the superstition. Her patron saint was St Anthony, and she made me say a prayer to St Anthony every time I played a game, before I played the game, and thank him afterwards.
I play in the same pair of Speedos every week. They get washed.
Always kiss the back of my jersey before I put it on.
Yeah, I always put the jocks on one leg at a time.
I always wear my underpants underneath my jeans.
Always put my left boot on, left sock, right boot, right sock. I'm not the smartest bloke in the world, boy.
Here it comes, Warner, Gray, Warner on the loop. Here's War, elusive, Burke, out right to War again. He goes himself, he had Stabina outside him, 10 metres short. Lovely running from the Waratahs.
So, Phil, the breakdown's obviously a very big part of your game. What are the secrets of the breakdown?
I think the key for any flanker is just to be the first person at the breakdown, and once you get to the breakdown, if it's our ball, you have to secure the ball, make it good ball for the halfback, and if it's their ball, try and get in there and disrupt their ball as much as possible, whether that's winning the ball back for our side or just slowing their ball down. That's our main focus.
Phil, I'm attacking, I've got the ball. Where do you go from here?
I must come from an onside position, so I'll come around this side. My side's going this way. Set a good platform with my feet so I'm nice and stable. Then I'll come down over the ball, get my hands on the ball as quick as possible. Generally lean into the defence so that if someone hits me, I'm still stable. And then once I'm in a good spot, I'll get the ball. If you hold on to it, then there's a penalty for me. Otherwise, I get the ball, bring it up, and just generally put it between my legs for our side.
Stolen by the French. Betson it was. But now a penalty to Australia, holding on.
He's on the ground now. Is it Phil War gone over the top? Yes, trying to get hold of the ball. He refuses to release it.
As defending players are getting better at pilfering the ball, attacking players are getting into new positions that stop us from pilfering the ball. Nathan here is in a position we call laying the egg. So what I've got to do, I've got to come from an onside position, get a good solid base again. I know the ball's coming out here, get over the top, get my hands on the ball. Once I've got the ball, again, just get the ball back and put it back on my side. That's just another way to pilfer the ball.
He made the tackle and then stood up. And
So
then
he's-
is able to go at it.
No
There's
run
nothing-
there. He's quite entitled to do that, Chris, isn't
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Mate, how do you deal with the opposition trying to belt you off the ball?
Mate, it's something I encounter every time I take the field, and I guess most open side flankers do, is blokes coming after you because all you're trying to do is disrupt their ball when they've got the ball. I guess you just got to be smart, be aware of where they're coming. Like a lot of other things on the rugby field, vision. Hopefully, you got your head down, but you're still seeing what's coming, and you're ready for any hit that you may take.
For the drop there, well, that man full wall, great pressure from him. He's had a big game again. Wins the ball back as well, and look at this with some skill, pops it off the ground. Brilliant play.
Country to tour. I'd have to give Fiji a rap there.
Probably Dubai. I went there for a sevens tournament, and it was sensational.
Argentina, always enjoy going there.
I'd say Papua New Guinea.
Probably the UK.
UK? Favourite country to tour was definitely Ireland, because everywhere you went, they'd give you the Irish handshake, a glass of Guinness.
Ireland.
I'd have to say Ireland.
Ireland or France?
Youth getting the better of him.
Gavin to Far Jones. Back to Offahengawe and Miller. Australia making inroads here. Far Jones over halfway. Gavin first to the breakdown. He picked it up and took it another 10. Liner.
First of all, Nick, the importance of the halfback pass. How important is it?
It's your bread and butter. There's no doubt about that, especially when you get to the top levels. If you can get the ball split second in rugby union into, quicker in your fly half's hands, all of a sudden, if we can get it along the chain and get it out wide, I mean, it can translate into metres of space.
And you're at the back of the scrum or back of the ruck. You pick up the ball. Where are you aiming for?
Oh, look, I think once you get to a level, where you're playing good rugby, it becomes an instinct. I mean, I was lucky enough that 2 5/8s that I effectively played with as a Wallaby were, I was lucky enough to play with Mark Ella. Mark sort of just said, you chuck it and I'll catch it. And Michael Liner. And Michael and I had such an understanding, through hours and hours on the training field, and we played about 50 tests together. You knew where he was. I mean, you do not have time to sort of look around and say, well, there's my 5/8, I'm going to hit him, because it's all got to be one motion. As the ball's there, you get your foot in place and everything's in place at the same time, and you know roughly, because you've got a great understanding with your 5/8. It's like your wife.
I once read that you didn't actually make the school first 15. It must have taken incredible persistence to one day captain Australia.
Yeah, I suppose so, mate. I mean, I growing up in the South, I played all sorts of sports, and I didn't play rugby till 13, and that's no excuses. I mean, rugby wasn't a major focus of the Far Jones family. It was the first test I saw was 1983, a year before I actually played a test, so it wasn't a huge dream for me.
And you were fortunate enough to play against the British Lions in 1989.
I'm not sure about that, mate. I got absolutely beaten up in the second
question.
test.
Second test, Brisbane, they see you won the first test. Obviously, they saw you as a major part of the side. Take us through what exactly happened.
I'm sure that they thought, well, look, this Wallaby team goes all right when they're not pressured, and a good way to pressure them is to turn on a bit of biffo, and why don't we target the little guy, and there's a good chance they might unravel around him, and it's exactly what happened.
So Australia's captain and the British Isles scrum half, and a pretty objectionable sight.
Nick, you had to work extremely hard to get as good as you were. What drills did you use to get better?
Oh, a lot of repetition stuff, Phil. I remember in the backyard at Guyme, sort of, getting an old tyre, tossing bricks through it. Importantly, making sure the technique was right, because the brick was heavier than a rugby ball, of course, but if you got your technique right and it could hold up under pressure of, 40, 50, 60 bricks, then there was a good chance it would hold up under the pressure of, in the 79th minute, a 5-metre scrum coming back at you, and that's when your technique's got to hold up. I mean, technique is important. When I watch young scrum halves, often their feet aren't placed right. It's so important to get the balance right, that you get your, if I'm passing left to right, that I get my left foot right up there next to the ball, and I get a wide spread. I keep a low base, that I don't sort of come up
with my hand and my body comes up with the pass, it could go anywhere then, that my hands follow the ball towards the target that I'm going and you stay down. What you'll find that you not only will your pass be good and solid and strong, but it'll send you on the right line to support.
And the scrum down to England. Picked it up cleanly this time. Far Jones trying to create space. They do it for Campese. The chip through, and Campese, he's in the lead.
Riles this time. Little pass for Barrett. Barrett streams into open space. Barrett running towards the corner. Players everywhere. Smith is over.
Trent, mate, you seem to be really good at throwing those nice long passes to set up your outside guys. Mate, with the specifics of the pass, is it harder to throw those balls when you're on the run?
I think it's probably a lot easier throwing it stationary, but then again, it's not going to be that effective. You've got to be on the run, especially at my position at second receiver. I think the most important thing is getting your feet right. And I think getting the width out of your passes is all in, I think, how you got your hands.
Mate, take us through the secrets of passing.
You know, probably one of the most used passes is a long ball, spiral pass. I find the more I grip the ball in the middle, you need a good thumb on the ball. Your bottom hand is, you know, got the main grip. Top hand is where you're getting your spin from.
Yep.
I used to practice when I was sitting at home, so I used to struggle throwing it left to right. Just sitting there like that, you know, in front of the TV, practicing getting a spin on the ball, and then taking it out on the park and getting your feet right. Closest foot pointing out towards him. Pass target is around here.
Long ball away for Barrett. Barrett picks up Blacklock. There he goes.
Craig, the other role of the dummy half is not only to attack but to pass the ball as quickly as they can from their play the ball to the first receiver. Take us through your secrets on passing.
Well, I think once again, passing the ball is all about getting the ball from where you are to the player you want to pass to as quick as you can. I suppose when you're approaching the ball, you don't really want to have the ball between your legs because you've got to waste time picking it up, taking it back and passing it. You take a step towards the ball and take another step towards where you want to pass, pretty much point your toe to where you want to pass it to, and when you're picking it up, your hands are already back here, so you've already got your backswing, so it's pretty much just straight off the ground, straight to the person you want to pass it to, and you don't really want to pick it up and pass it because that wastes time again, so you just want to go straight off the ground, straight to whoever you want to pass it to.
And hopefully your first receiver catches it.
Yeah, hopefully your first receiver catches it, but also, if it's a long pass, you might want to use a hard torpedo pass. But in rugby league, there's a lot of short passes from the dummy half, so and forwards hate catching torpedo passes. So you might just want to pick it up, just give it just like a normal pass that goes end over end. Much easier to catch, and it's often a lot quicker as well.
Worst movie you ever have seen, Zoolander, hands down.
Definitely Zoolander. I was watching it with Nathan Gray and it was terrible.
Little Nicky.
Memento. Best movie. That Memento. Went backwards to forward. I didn't know what was going on. Guy Pearce was in it, I think.
I don't want to bag in Australia, but Guy Pearce in the show Memento. It's awful.
Anything that Tim Horan likes. Meet Joe Black, the lowest movie of all time.
It'd have to be Bad Boy Bubby.
The Blair Witch Project, because it was terrible and it gave me headaches.
Waterworld, without a doubt. Shadow of a doubt.
Gia. Intercept. Away he goes. It's McRae.
Sorts a chance, about 6 on 1. Intercept. Here we go again. It's not running. The crowd roars. Out it goes Brendan Williams.
Mate, you find yourself out in the defensive line, the situation, how the intercepts evolved. Do you want to just explain that to us?
Oh yeah, well, I guess against the Stormers, it was more so that
I heard that the call come. Bobby Skinstad was calling the ball to come across, and I heard the call, and he was a bit too fast. So I thought if I got the ball before he got it, I'd have a better chance of shutting it down.
And Matty, how's it feel, mate? You get the intercept, you're running at the stadium, the wind's blowing through your hair. It must be just a great feeling.
Mate, it was the scariest moment of my life. It's easy when someone's in your face, and you're used to that, but to know that someone's running you down, it's just a matter of when they're going to run you down. It's a pretty scary feeling being chased.
Playing against Auckland and the Stormers, you found yourself in the centres. There was big overlaps, and basically the guys had the numbers on us to score, and you went for the intercept. Obviously, it's a pretty big risk.
Oh, definitely a big risk, and I think the only benefit of doing against Auckland was it was probably, there wasn't much else I could do to stop those blokes. So, yeah, I guess if you come out of the line and it doesn't come off, you look like a bit of a goose.
The nickname Tucky, where's that come from?
Mate, a few of the guys on one of the under-21s trip to Cape Town thought I might have resembled a Robin Hood character called Fry Tuck, so it launched from there.
And it's stuck, obviously.
Well, let's hope it's not serious, because he has very quickly become a crowd favourite at the Sydney Football Stadium.
So, Matty, if anyone, any young kids out there are thinking of maybe throwing the hand up, rushing out of the line and going for the intercept, what can you recommend?
I guess basically you shouldn't go too early, otherwise the guys passing will see you do it. So leave your run to the last minute and just go as fast as you can and just pray and hope it comes off.
So it's all about timing?
I think so, yeah.
Gee, that's not much of you guys.
Probably car, motorbike, something silly.
I don't know, it's a toss-up between world peace or on the racehorses.
Probably horses.
A really nice house in Queenscliff.
A million things I'd spend $1 million on.
I'd like to say real estate in Sydney, but you wouldn't get too much.
My mortgage and red wine. Cattle property. Family.
Trip around the world and look after my son's future.
Carlos Spencer, who's emerged from the shadow of Andrew Mertens and Simon Culhane. Nice drop out. Here's again.
Mate, the start of the game and any restarts during the game is the kick-off. The secrets of it, can you take us through it?
Yeah, Nathan, it's probably a very crucial part of the game. Well, what I try and do, try and focus really heavily on my ball drop. I drop it round, check the surface, so I really have a practice drop before I kick the ball, and then there's two types of drops I use. One is I drop it and let it hit the ground, but try and hit it on the up to really get that height so we can really compete on a short kick-off, and try and hit the ball as it hits the ground to get a long one to try and control it a bit more. So really head over the ball and a nice follow through, so we'll just see if we can get one happening. That's the way to do it.
Superb.
Barrett kicks before the last ricochet.
Righto, Baz, when you go to the line and you're looking to put that short kick in, what's your secret, mate?
I don't think you're looking firstly to where the fullback is. You've got to know his habits. You know, we always watch a few videos. If he chases hard that way, where he stands. You know, probably the most important thing is trying to get him, or thinking, or not knowing what you're going to do. Catching it at first receiver, you look, show inside, and then dropping it in. Trying to get the ball to go away from him, in around the post, so it doesn't make it too easy for him to pick up.
Now Riddell. For Barrett, a little kick, they've got to score!
Yeah, it certainly does. You know, that's our aim.
Fittler will come back to Simon Fittler. Oh!
We hear the term 40-20 used a lot in rugby league. What exactly is a 40-20?
40-20 was introduced a couple of years ago. I think the NRL found that wingers were dropping back so far, it didn't really give the offensive team much advantage to either pass or run. So what it is, if you're at your end of the field, you're within your 40-metre zone, you can kick the ball and land it within their quarter, within their 20 zone. That's effectively a 40-20. And when you pull them off in a game, and they're very rarely, like I think I did 4 this year, and if you pull them off in a game, it's a big advantage to your side.
Right, we've got a 40-20.
How much does that lift the side when you get a 40-20?
Yeah, it is, because if you're kicking from your own 40, it seems like you're coming out of trouble anyway, so you can turn game, it always turns games normally, so, and the forwards love it. every forward runs past you on the way down, just like, just giving you the pats on the back. And we had a thing going around, like, you did a 40-20, all the forwards will give you $20, the next day of training, so.
Brad, can you take us through the technique on a drop punt?
All right, drop punt. There's two, I reckon, important things. First, you've got to find your target. I think what I normally do as a kicker, as the tackle's getting completed and finished, I'm always trying to find out where the fullback is, so I know by the time I get the ball exactly which way I want to be facing, and it's always important to face where you want to kick the ball. Yep. And the second thing is, make sure you always got your eye on the ball as you're kicking it. I always try to lean the ball a bit forward, therefore you're not getting too much height, and normally gets a decent run on. So, I hope this goes all right.
Spot on.
Spot on.
Deft passer. Fitner kicks from halfway. No winger at home.
Here is a good chase coming. Hegarty is getting through. Hegarty almost there.
Mate, take us through the secrets of the chip kick.
Chip kick. Normally used if the fullback's stand too deep. You like him, especially early on in the game, you want him in two minds. Important thing, always have a quick chaser, especially in rugby league where they can impede your run a bit. Pretty much most times you go for a chip kick, you're going to get impeded, so you've got to make sure you've got a really fast chaser. Normally I use Craig Wing or Luke Phelps fullback. You can be me chaser this time.
Beautiful.
Phil Warburg, the defender.
You don't have to chip it too high.
Yeah, I know, he's very short. The idea is just to drop it over their head, 5 or 10 metres, preferably so our attacker can get on the full. Sometimes you don't want to risk bouncing, could bounce anyway. So go onto the line. I always like to throw a dummy so he's not expecting a chip kick. Dummy, go on the line and just chipping over. Attacker catch on the full. Try time.
Take us through the banana kick.
Banana kick, normally, especially with our in goals, of course they're mostly not as deep as other sports. We've got to sort of try to get over the line and get the ball going that way. Yep. So that's why that becomes effective. It's going that way and starts going towards the sideline. And with compressed defences, it's a hard kick for a defending winger to take. So what you want to do, you want to hit it on this side of the ball. When you hit it like that, it sort of pushes it that way and ends up pushing to the right.
Superb.
Nice.
That was a jam. Having played at Telstra Stadium in front of a packed crowd, mate, the grand final this year is pretty special. How was the crowd?
It was awesome. I think because it come down an Australian team and New Zealand team, it had added that little bit of spice. And as you know, grand final tickets go on sale like months in advance of the game. So although you might have had Canterbury supporters there, Paris supporters, Newcastle, come down to, they all mostly supported East, because Sydney City, that is, of course, the opposing team was New Zealand. But it just seemed to be a hum the whole time, and it was an awesome atmosphere. One of the better games I've ever played in, and mostly, of course, the result as well.
Most underrated opponent was a guy called Neil Francis from Ireland.
Craig Fitzgibbon. Kevin Campion.
Phil Ward. It'd be Chris Whittaker, most underrated teammate.
Billy Peet.
Cornet Finger from the Springboks.
Young Will-o'-the-Wisp prop called Andrew Hurst.
Chris Whittaker, probably don't really respect how good he is and what he does around the field.
So Jason Croker, because he's such a valuable player.
I think they're all overrated.
Phil Kearns here wanting to get the straight line.
Eels went high. This is Gavin sweeping well. And
just sorting out the line-out signals. And Opahengawi gathering it in two-handed. The Australians trying to roll it up the side. England in trouble here. It's a try.
From the grandstand, I think it looks probably pretty easy. People think line-out throwing, it's a pretty simple thing. How hard is it?
With practice it gets easier, but certainly early in my career I struggled with it, and just a lot of practice and a lot of help on technique throughout the years got me to be a fairly reasonable thrower. But it is difficult. There's so many variations in the number of line-outs and the number of people in the line-out, and then the movement of each of the jumpers, but also the conditions on the day, whether it's windy or it could be wet, and all those have a factor in throwing.
Phil, for all those aspiring hookers out there, any sort of tips or advice that you received when you were sort of learning to throw and anything like that?
I think one of the things that helped was just being able to get a clear focus going into the line-out. So you might have just, for players that are athletic, might have made a run or tackled someone. You're puffing a little bit, and then you might have to go straight into a line-out.
So you were never puffing.
So I was never puffing. I was always relaxed going into the line-out. And just to be able to, get control of breathing, like you see a goal kicker do, very similar technique to go through and just make sure the technique and the thoughts in your head are right.
Footy secrets.
Phil, can you take us through your secrets to line-out throwing?
Move into position, just 1 or 2 deep breaths, tends to focus you and get you in place. Next thing is your hand positioning on the ball. So I generally tried to keep my hands quite firm but soft at the same time, and try and use every little advantage. So to get a good grip, try and use the seam on the ball here, and even little finger over the little hole here I found is a good spot to good hand position for me. Obviously for younger people with smaller hands, they're going to have to get a little bit more comfortable. The left hand on the front half of the ball, and really that's a controlling mechanism more than a strength or a power mechanism. So we're here, we've got about a 4 jump. It looks like maybe the jumper's just fading back a little bit. So I know what that call is, I know where my target is. So I've got my hands nice and high. And the thing that I used to have running through my head is so I wouldn't rush the throw, I wouldn't rush the technique. And I used to have through my head going slow back and through, which meant slow back and through with the hands. And I'd try and make sure I finished high all the time. So if my hands came down like that after I'd thrown, I generally would know it was going to be a bad throw. So hands up here, slow back and through. And hit.
Excellent. And of course, they've added an extra big man in Troy Coker.
So your battle, you mentioned Sean Fitzpatrick before, your battle with him has been a very famous one. What's your relationship with him now after playing?
We get on well. When Sean's in Australia, he normally gives me a call. First 4 or 5 years of our careers against each other, where I've got to say we weren't exactly best mates, but we, from about 1993, I suppose, 92 or 93, we got on pretty well after that.
And the try you scored, I think it was 89 in New Zealand, turned round after you got up, after you scored the try. Mate, what exactly did you say?
Yeah, it was 1990 in Wellington, and he just asked me if he wanted to come round for a beer, and I said no, I'd rather have 2 beers.
Great try to Australia!
How do you sort of think, world rugby and particularly Australian rugby sort of come on in the last couple of years?
I think the players now, like you strapping young fellows, much fitter, stronger, faster, better skilled than the guys, even 5 years ago or 3 years ago when I was playing. I reckon the 99 Wallaby team would have beaten the 91 World Cup winning team, by 20, 30 points.
The try is awarded!
Yosemite Sam.
The dog out of Footy Flats?
Probably when I was growing up, Prince Planet.
Fred Flintstone, he likes a nice big steak.
Definitely Roadrunner.
Nathan Gray.
The Phantom.
Astro Boy. SpongeBob SquarePants. Wonder Woman.
Invader Zim.
Roadrunner. Thanks for your tips on line-out throwing, Phil. But another big part of your game was scrummaging, and to help you out to answer a few tips on scrummaging, we've got Dick Harry, former Wallaby great. Thanks for coming in, Dick.
Thanks, mate.
Dickie.
Hey, Gracie.
Mate, they say that anyone who says they know everything about scrummaging is either lying or 40. You're probably moving into the latter part of that, but mate, how important is a scrum in rugby union?
Obviously, mate, it's very important, I think, because restart a play, it's very, very important to maintain possession. So you want to make sure you have a strong scrum, so when you do put the ball in, that you're going to be guaranteed 100% to get your ball back. And obviously, on the other side of the coin is when the opposition are restarting their play, that you've got a chance to get their ball back. So it's a very, very key part of the play.
For the young props and hookers playing the game, they're not allowed to push further than 1.5 meters, I think, in under 19 laws, or they're not allowed to wheel the scrum. Have you got any tips for them on improving their game?
I guess in under 19s and below, it's important to concentrate at that stage on keeping your body shape, making sure that when the weight does come on, when you get into the higher grades, that you're going to have a perfect technique to transfer it through, and then all the pressure and all the weights and can come on at a later stage.
Footy secrets.
So, Dickie, mate, take us through the secrets of the scrum.
Effectively what we want to do, as we touched on before, you've got to make sure you always remember your job in the front row. And your job is to, number one, work as a team, and number two, keep your body shape so all the weight that's being generated by the guys behind you can be forced through onto the opposition front row. So very, very important to say you never lose sight of those goals. So what you don't do is you don't work one out. So you don't try and have a fight with the guy opposite you. You've got to make sure you work with the guys alongside you and behind you. And the other two, as I said, concentrate on really building up your strength in your abs and your lower back and also your legs, where the majority of your power comes from, is to keep that positioning and the transfer of weight. So the two most important things. We want to make sure we have this a nice flat back, all the power coming through your largest muscle groups, which are going to be your quads and your bum. And having that nice, flat, straight back, again, because you can imagine the power that's coming through your bum, it's coming straight up your spine, through your neck and straight onto your opposition's shoulders. So it's very important to say when you come down to keep that nice flat, that dish in your back, and keep that nice balance through your legs. So, and the other thing, before you engage, you want to be nice and balanced. And so you come in, and what Andrew Blades used to refer to is actually diving into the pool. So really diving into the opposition to take that initiative. And I think that's probably the other important thing in scrummaging. A lot of the times it's won and lost on the first engagement. So if you get a nice solid engagement, it's very difficult. If you've been caught in a bad position, you can't do the things we just spoke about. You can't transfer the weight, you can't work with the guys around you, and you've got to be very, very strong and very, very good to get out of a bad position. So taking the initiative, really have a go at the opposition and keep your body shape.
So I have to start calling him Battleship Grey after that. Stay bound.
You've played some great tests and you've played against some great front rows. Who would you consider the best front row you've ever played against?
I'll probably say the All Black front row, Brown, Dowd and Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that. Richard Lowe was also, a very solid scrummager, that joined that trio along the way. I guess also the French generally had a pretty good scrum. And a very difficult side to scrummage against. And going back in some of the early 90s, the French scrum was particularly powerful.
Front rowers being the powerhouse and the strongmen of the team. You guys are obviously very big, muscular, strapping lads. Any recommendations for the young kids coming through with respect to weights and trying to look after themselves?
Yeah, I think for a lot of kids, they don't choose to be a prop, it chooses them. Body shape's got a fair bit to do with it. You can't have your tall, skinny bloke in the front row. So most kids that play have got some physical characteristics, which usually means something like wide shoulders and no neck. And or if they're not there now, they will be soon. Certainly some strong abdominal areas is really important. Use your abs a lot in scrummaging. That's a full body workout, the scrum. I think you have to be pretty solid all over.
Eat too many cream buns like Phil and I did, well, you'll end up in the front row anyway.
Most admired opponent, Phil Ward.
Olo Brown.
Sean Fitzpatrick.
Andrew Johns.
Most admired opponent, probably be Frank Bunce.
I'd have to say Stephen Lane, because he plays my position. I probably aspire to be how good he is.
Jason Rolls.
Most admired opponent was the All Blacks. As a team, they were collectively the hardest to play against.
I think I'm going to mention myself. No, I won't say myself. Jeff Turvey.
Eels. World-class line out forward.
What are the key elements of being a really good line-out jumper?
Well, I think it probably boils down to a few points. Firstly, you've got to get to the spot quickly. You've got to get off the ground. Your lifters have to be on you immediately, and then you've got to be strong in the air. At the same time as you're doing that, when I say strong in the air, it means your body has to be pretty rigid, legs together, so it's easy to lift you. Then while you're doing that, at the same time, your hands have to be up ready at all times, and you've got to be watching the ball. So some chance of catching it while it's in the air.
Ilse, you mentioned the importance of the throw. We've spoken to Kernsey about that. How important is working a really good relationship between the two of you?
Very important. I'm not sure Kernsey would have been the best person to speak to about that. He used to go by the nickname of Scud, because he'd never hit the same place twice. Lightning because of the same reason. And there's no doubt that what is as important as being particularly accurate is understanding both the thrower and him understanding you. They've got to know when you tend to jump, what are your favourite positions, and how they're going to get the ball to you.
Now, John, you've played 86 tests for the Wallabies. Going back to your debut, have you got any memories from that game against Wales?
Yeah, Phil, I think for me it was one of the great days of my life. I think it was such an emotional day. I never thought that I'd play Test match football. I used to dream about going and watch Australia playing a Test match, and there I was with the opportunity. It was a very emotional day. I think the thing I looked forward to more than anything else was the singing of the national anthem. Because I used to watch Wallaby tests when I was younger, and that was the part that I used to love more than anything else. Watching the guys out there sing the anthem. Besides, it's the only time that many thousands of people would sing along with me anyway. So I felt like I was a rock star as well.
Bledisloe Cup, year 2000 in Wellington. Take us through your thoughts when you got the ball to kick that last penalty.
Well, initially, it's been well documented when the penalty was given. I was just looking straight for Sterling Mortlock because I thought he was on the field, and Sterlo was off the field, and it was Jeremy Paul that said to me, "Mate, he's off the field, it's your kick." So, all of a sudden my mood changed. I went from being very excited about having this penalty and a chance to win the game to, oh no, it's me that I've got to kick this. But I think it's also, as a sportsman, they're the moments that you really look forward to. That's the moment you always imagine yourself in the backyard being that person. There's a chance to have a go at it, and thank God it went over.
What a player, John Eales. His kick has retained the Bledisloe Cup.
A really good kebab.
Beer and a pie?
Food. Horses.
A lotto ticket.
Oh, definitely be an all-up down the TAB.
A casino, a little bit. Black.
Double it up.
Yeah.
I'd probably keep it and take it down to the library and photocopy it.
My mortgage and red wine.
$10 worth of mixed ollies for my 4 children.
$5 worth of chips and 2 pieces of crump fish.
Scrum, which the Broncos have won. 10 metres out from the line. It's gone away out into the centres. Takiri's out there. He's not tackled. Takiri again. Takiri again. He's in. Lottie Takiri has scored. Magnificent winger. He did.
Lottie, you seem to be pretty good and pretty confident finding this try line, mate. Do you want to take us through a few secrets?
Yeah, mate, I rely a lot on my inside players to get me into some space, to give me a one-on-one, and I'm pretty good on a one-on-one situation and rely on my footwork a lot to either get inside or work him and put it in the way on him and try and get to the try line.
Lottie, you talk about your footwork. Is that something that's come naturally to, or something you've worked pretty hard on at training?
Yeah, well, I've always had the natural ability, but it gets honed at training.
Lottie, making the transition from league to union, what are your goals and aspirations for your time here?
Yeah, well, it'll be a big transition, not having played rugby since high school, so, I've got to get the instincts back from back at school. That'll take a couple of games, but, the World Cup was a big motivation to come over. And, watching my dad and a lot of Fijians play rugby was a big one as well.
Footy secrets.
4 tries. Now the side of the coin.
Now they hit the blind side. They've got numbers there. Takiri.
Lottie, you're terrific at finding the try line. Yep. What's your secret to beating a player one-on-one?
One-on-one, what I like to do is lock the defender in. Say, Grace is my defender here. What I'm trying to do is lock him in, take him one way, then come the other side, so he's off balance when he's trying to defend me. And if he comes back, I've got the fend going. Transfer the ball from my right to the left.
Got the fend?
Got the fend going, and you're over the try line.
Excellent, too easy.
Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Jesus, with my girlfriend Rebecca.
I would invite 4 people who lead vastly different lives to me because I think you can learn from everyone.
Who are the 4 best looking women you can think of?
Jack Nicklaus was one of them. Bjorn Borg when I was growing up. Mandela. I think Bill Clinton would be an interesting man.
I'd probably invite Hannibal Lecter, Jeffrey Dahmer, Mike Tyson, and, well, Mickey Mouse to give Tyson a little bit of something to chew on.
Nelson Mandela, Art Garfunkel, at Wolf Blass there to provide the wines, and Jesus Christ, just in case we undercated.
Michael Jordan, Terry Lamb, Greg Norman, John Single.
Probably John Singleton, John Laws, Alan Jones, and Slim Dusty. If you couldn't get a dust up out of that, you won't.
Inside, Sailor. Ball comes to the corner and they've scored. I don't believe it. John Wilson playing right wing. He goes over the stripe. And check this out.
This is a team photo. It's come a little bit early. Look, and the trainer, Andrew Leach, he's taking 2 of the boys. Yes, there it is. That's a season photo.
Oh, I've seen everything now.
Warrie, Matty and I scored a few tries.
Haven't we just?
Absolutely. Most of yours are seen from the bottom of the ruck or the sideline. Any that spring to mind that you really enjoyed watching?
Mate, maybe Brian Fletcher in the State of Origin one time. Sort of got the grenade, pulled the pin, threw at his teammates, and they all fell to the ground.
Well, I'll tell you another good one was, I think Alan Tongue from the Raiders, it might have been, done a bowling pin against the Knights that night. And remember Joey, he was absolutely filthy, but if you give it, you got to take it, you know.
True. Super 12 one, Super one, Ron Cribb scored the try in the final of Super 12. Cracked the ball as it was a can of beer and just had a quick swig, chucked it away. Pretty impressive.
Drunk that pretty quick. The other good one was the Kiwi. The Kiwis aren't bad at post-try celebrations, but the good one was Wellington this year. I think it was against the Sharks, when one of the players got the ball, bowled it down the wicket, turned around to the umpire, appealed. He was given out.
He was giving him out. Superb.
I said to the boys, if I scored a length of the field try, I swore that I'd rip off all my clothes and do a lap around the ground totally nude. But if you ever see me, mate, if you ever see me run, you know it was a safe bet.
I must admit, Mark Riddell's run squatting was against, who was it against?
North Queensland.
North Queensland. Scored the try, jumped over the fence, applauded himself. Mate, you would have liked to have done that.
Mate, I like that. That's where I normally watch him from.
Robbie O's done a few good ones. He's done the worm, he's done a few other things. He's a bit of a sick boy. Actually, if you ever look back a bit of footage, Robbie O's always good for a post-try celebration. A bit of a mug lair, the boy, actually.
Creating them all. And Phil Moore goes straight through. The vice-captain dots it down between the sticks.
So I've been practising a few of my post-try celebrations, and the challenge is out to the young kids now to come up with some of the best post-try celebrations in the game.
Hey, Phil, you've been practising?
Yeah,
hey, when you score a try, my old man changes his calendar.
Mate, I'd be happy with one a year.
That's what I've heard.
Mate, I think you're dreaming for the post-try celebration.
Well, you've just heard from some of the greatest names in rugby league and rugby union ever to pull on a boot.
And hopefully, by using some of their skills, you'll be inspired to become the best possible player you can be.
But more importantly, no matter which code you decide to play or ball you pick up, remember, there is no play without team play. And the same goes for helping out our mates in the bush. We're all in this together. Enjoy your footy.